Hello and welcome back to Game of Trades, your #1 channel for videos on the stock market and cryptocurrencies. This video is going to be focused on Bitcoin that has just been on a crazy move recently. We've seen major breakouts just over the past few trading sessions, breaking out above this downtrend line resistance, breaking out above this big level of resistance here. So many people on social media were calling for Bitcoin to reverse off this resistance. If you've been following us, whether that's on YouTube, with the last Bitcoin video that we posted just a few days ago, we called the bottom at $40,000. We called the bottom on Twitter with the transfer volume and loss that was spiking at $40,000. And also on our website at gameoftrades.net with our ratings across asset classes, our maximum drawdown for Bitcoin was at around $40,000. Now, of course, we're on an incredible momentum here, so we're going to take a look at what the data is telling us right now and whether we can expect much more upside on Bitcoin over the next few months and perhaps discuss some targets for the near future. Over the long term, we think that the massive Bitcoin adoption as a storehold of wealth, as a digital value asset, justifies the price movements that we've seen up until now and will continue to justify it in the future. If we take a look at Bitcoin's adoption relative to the internet back in the 1990s, I think that represents well how quickly this industry is growing. We have roughly the same amount of users that we had back in 1997 right here in 2021. That shows you how early we are in the adoption phase. But if we compare the growth trends in those adoption curves, Bitcoin's adoption is steeper and is growing quicker. So whether we're heading into a bull run now or a bear market, we are long-term holders of Bitcoin. We're extremely bullish over the long term. But in these videos, we take a look at the data, we take a look at the price action, the macro environment, and we try to take a look at the best possible way to take advantage of this asset. Now, if you want to follow this crazy asset with us, make sure to smash that subscribe button. And now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I want to quickly begin by taking a look at a tweet that we made a few days ago on the 30th of September, where we highlighted the transfer volume in loss. In fact, we talked about this in the last video, in the last YouTube video that we posted on Bitcoin. But just look at this chart, how powerful it is when you have a surge in this transfer volume and loss, meaning a lot of people are selling Bitcoin at a loss that very often corresponds to significant bottoms. And since that post, we actually made a 20% run up from around the $40,000 level. Now that just shows you how powerful on-chain analysis can be and how much it gives you an edge over other players in the market. If you like the fact that we're posting this type of high quality data and giving you guys access to it, make sure to smash that like button as hard as you can. It helps our videos get pushed out to other people and hopefully let other small retail traders take advantage of this stuff. So we're going to come back to this in just a couple of minutes to discuss exactly what that means for future price action. But before, I want to focus on this chart that I showed you guys on the last Bitcoin YouTube video that we made, and that's the short-term MVRV. So this actually tells you how much short-term holders on Bitcoin are benefiting from the price movement, right? So we tend to look at short-term holders because these are speculative players, right? They don't understand Bitcoin because if you want to be successful, you want to be holding long-term. But this chart is particularly powerful because if we smoothen out all of this data and put a 7-day moving average on here, you're going to see there's a very different type of dynamic between what happens with this ratio during bull runs on Bitcoin and during bear markets. And we took a look at that last time. Pay attention to that one level and you're going to see this ratio actually tests that resistance all the way through during a bear market. And then when you flip to a bull run here, that's when you see short-term holders begin to actually benefit from Bitcoin's price action. And it bounces on that one level over and over again until you get back in a bear market, and then that's resistance again. Resistance, resistance. So we're seeing a very interesting development here. You can see that we popped below that one level. Now we're popping back above and retesting it. And so far, with this recent move up that we've seen over the past few days, we've managed to bounce off that one level. Now, I wanted to check how many times that actually happened throughout the last 10 years on Bitcoin. How many times did this ratio bounce off that one level? And we're going to quickly take a look at that together. First of all, that happened right here in September 2020, right before the big run here. Here we didn't have a successful backtest. We just had a false breakout here. No successful retest anywhere here, so that doesn't look like it. Nothing of the sort here. Here you had a retest. Here you had a retest. So on these three occasions, you had big retests of that zero line. And that happened to mark big bottoms on Bitcoin, giving you a tremendous buy opportunity as we have that retest. Now, the only worrying development that I have right now is the fact that here in 2014, that bear market rally that we talked about at the beginning of the video also had a retest like that. That's the only one that did not lead to upside. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 readings, only one did not end up yielding high returns and actually ended up yielding extremely low returns. What do you guys think? Do you think this is just a false breakout, or is this the real deal and we've confirmed that one level as support and now we're heading into a bull run? Make sure to comment down below what you think. But now let's take a look at probably the most important part of this video. And I want you guys to pay attention very carefully here, because this is the most important relationship there is to look at in finance right now. There's no other chart that's as important as this in terms of how profitable it can be. Now, this is the government bond yield. This is the 10-year yield. And I've highlighted the periods where you roughly see yields rising, right? That was a period between 2012 and 2013. Throughout this period here in 2016 and 2017. And now, post-COVID, we've seen yields rise as well. And so I've put big green boxes on here just to show you very clearly those periods. And now I'm going to add Bitcoin on this chart. And this is where the magic happens. Look at all these green zones where yields were rising. Those correspond to big Bitcoin bull runs. Those periods are where you have the highest return on your investment on Bitcoin. And that includes 2020. Now, the 10-year yield is something that you need to be watching regardless of what you're trading or investing in. It tells you everything about the current macro environment. And so when you have rising yields, that means bond prices are falling, and that tells you that investors are going out of bonds and into more speculative investments like the stock market or like Bitcoin. And so that's why you see Bitcoin run up every time you have big rallies in yields. And if you're not convinced yet, just look at the relationship between Bitcoin and yields here. The entire run up on Bitcoin here in 2020 was timed with yields. Then you had Bitcoin roll over as yields rolled over. And now you have yields breaking out and Bitcoin breaking out at the same time. It's a perfect relationship. And I don't think that anybody is talking about that on the internet, in the crypto space. Nobody is talking about the relationship between Bitcoin and the 10-year yield. And that's one of the points that we really try to focus on with our Bitcoin weekly overviews, and everything that we cover on gameoftrades.net is to understand the broader macro environment and know how it's going to impact these types of assets. Because if you know where the 10-year yield is going, you know where Bitcoin is going, you know where stocks are going, you know where everything's going. Now this week, we're going to be posting a full overview of where we think the 10-year yield is heading over the next few weeks, and exactly the reasons why, based on inflation, economic growth, monetary policy, and how all of that fits in together to impact other assets. Now, if you haven't checked out our website at gameoftrades.net, make sure to go ahead and do that. We try to bring a non-biased and an objective approach to all of the high quality data that we give you guys access to in these posts. If you're looking to learn how to properly take advantage of this massively growing industry, make sure to give our website a look. I don't think you'll regret it. It's for a ridiculous price for the quality of the analysis and data that we provide. Now, at the beginning of this video, we took a look at this transfer volume in loss that was spiking and that timed the bottom on Bitcoin perfectly. So let's take a look at that indicator in more detail because it really is such a powerful indicator. Look at how well this bottom right here was timed. You had a major spike in this total transfer volume as we saw that bottom at 40K. And what's even more powerful about this is that Bitcoin tends to rally as this indicator comes down. Right now, we still have this indicator at very extreme levels, at very high levels. But you can see on all these moves down we had on this indicator, we had the price of Bitcoin rally. Look at this, move down in the transfer volume, Bitcoin rallies. Move down in the transfer volume, Bitcoin rallies. So that could still fuel some momentum in the next few days as we see this indicator come down. But most importantly, what we're looking at right now for the next big indicator is that this indicator can be used to time tops as well. Look at this right here on the 30th of August. As we saw that big round top on Bitcoin, we saw the transfer volume in loss bottom. And what's very interesting is that you never get a big top on Bitcoin without seeing this indicator drop down to extreme lows. It happened right here in January. It happened back here in August 2020. And then on all of these relief rallies, they tend to end when the transfer volume comes back down significantly. It happened on every rally in 2018. You had the total transfer volume in loss come down significantly. So we have some upside left before we see the next big top. And I think it's possible that it actually fuels the momentum needed to break this level here. This is a super mega channel on Bitcoin here that we've been looking at for a very long time now, timing tops, timing all the bottoms. It lets you predict where price is going to bounce or reject. And look at what's happening right now. I haven't changed these trend lines since the last time we looked at these together, and price is currently testing that level. But we're in such a strong momentum here, we might get a little bit of a reaction, but I think ultimately we break that level. Now, the last tweet that I made talked about a potential target at $75,000 before we see the next big correction on Bitcoin. And so you'll quickly understand where that's coming from right here. That next big line of resistance corresponding to the reactions from the 2017 top, the 2021 top, and potentially if we get there relatively quickly at around $75,000 to $78,000, that would be the next big reaction. Ultimately, again, we're in a bull run. I think that we'll be breaking through that level before the end of 2021, but $75,000 is the next level to pay attention to once we've cleared that line of resistance. So of course we'll be looking at that very carefully. If you want to stay up to date on all of this and have the latest information and data on what we think is happening on Bitcoin, make sure to go and subscribe to our free trial on our website. Now that's about all I wanted to cover in this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to click on that like button. And in the meantime, I wish you good luck on your trading and see you next time.